Hi everyone, this is Rebecca Keppel. I am very happy to be here with you all today. I know it has been a long time and just with everything that's been going on and trying to get a schedule in our house going. The kids are homeschooling. My husband is working from home. I am trying to do things from home. So it has been a little tough to get this schedule in order, but we are getting there and I wanted to share this kit with you. It is the Queen & Co. Sweet Shop kit. And it is so much fun, and I made 7 cards with this kit and I have plenty of goodies left over. So this sheet tells you what the kit includes. I'm going to show you everything up close and personal. You get all these dies. There are 7 different basic shapes that you can create, but there are lots of dies. You get 3 foams for each basic shape. So each shaker shape you can make 3 times. I am making 1 of each for you in this video. Okay, this is the 6x6 matte stack. There are some very versatile patterns, things like checks and dots, and then there are some very themed patterns, the ice cream trucks and things like that. This is the 4x6 stamp set. There are tons of sentiments on this set. And these are the toppings. You get these kind of flat round sprinkles and then these other ones, which I know some people call jimmies. We always just call them sprinkles. So lots of toppings and things to make. The first shape that I want to share with you is the easiest one, I think. It's the popsicle. Now, I did cut out just 1 stick. I know sometimes these double popsicles have 2 sticks. I didn't think of that at the time, so you might want to do that on your card, but I am just using 1. Okay, so this is the foam shape that we need to pop out in order to make this card, and then the center of that foam pops out, and that's how you make the shaker inside. So the first thing I did here was die cut the popsicle as well, and I also want to grab my acetate piece. I didn't mention, but you get all of the acetates pre-cut. So 3 pre-cut acetate popsicles, 3 donuts, 3 ice creams, that kind of thing. Okay, and these are the toppings that I decided to use for this card. And now I just need to grab my sentiment. I am using You Make Me Believe Anything is Popsicle. I think that's cute. A lot of the sentiments are birthday ones, and I did use a lot of birthday ones, but I wanted to show you some of the other more versatile sentiments as well. I am stamping with VersaFine Black Onyx ink because I love the way it shows up on top of pattern paper. Anytime I am stamping in black on pattern paper, I do use that VersaFine because it is a pigment ink. It sits on top of the paper, so it really shows up nice and crisp. The only thing is it takes a little bit more time to dry than your typical dye inks, so either heat set it or just set it aside to dry. Okay, I put the popsicle on first, and then I just stuck the stick slightly underneath that foam shape so it looks like it's stuck in the popsicle. Then I adhere the centerpiece so that it's all pink on the inside and on the outside of that popsicle, and I poured my toppings inside. I decided to use some of the yellow sprinkles as well, just to kind of accent inside as well as that pattern paper on the outside. Peel off that top protective layer of the foam and then lay your acetate on top, and don't do what I did. Don't try and peel it off, just stick it down. It's very simple to do. Now I put a little bit of adhesive on the back of the die cut frame that I cut out, and you'll see it cuts out the frame and the interior piece. That's why you get 2 pieces every time you cut with the Queen & Co. shaped shaker dies. Now I'm going to use some epoxy dots. I love how they come in a couple of sizes and color hues, I guess, or shades of one color on each sheet. So it gives you a couple of options there when you are embellishing your card. Super simple this one was. That's why I wanted to start with it. And we'll get a little more complicated as we go on. The second one is the cupcake, and I am using some of the Queen & Co. foundations dies. I'm going to link to them down below as well so you can check them out. I love their foundations dies. They're kind of like layering or stacking dies. Great for backgrounds, great for basic shapes. The little flag at the top for the sentiment is also from the foundations dies. So I definitely recommend, if you want some basics to add to your kits, to pick up some of those foundations dies. I love the square. It's got stitched lines, and then there's a slightly larger square that's scalloped on the outside. Okay, for this cupcake, you want to put the wrapper down first. So that's the only thing with some of these shapes, you have to figure out in which order to do them. It's much easier with the cupcake to put the wrapper down first and then adhere your foam shape. So I'm going to peel off the back protective layer of the foam, lay it down so it's slightly overhanging my wrapper because it's that big poof of frosting there. Then I'm going to adhere the interior piece of the frosting, and I made mine strawberry. I am going to put some sprinkles on this cupcake, and I decided to go with the chocolate sprinkles for that. And once that is ready to go, I did actually add a couple of those. I like the blue dots with the chocolate, and it also brings out those blue dots in the back of the pattern paper there. Okay, now find your acetate piece, peel off that top protective layer, and lay that acetate piece right on top. Super easy. I tell everybody, if you think shakers are hard, you haven't tried Queen & Co. shaped shaker kits yet. So I have lots of people that tell me like, oh, there's no way, I can't do shakers, even with a kit, it's just way too hard, it's way too complicated. These are literally 1, 2, 3, kind of peel and stick, and they cut everything for you except for the, the pattern paper and things that you want to make it customized, but this is the easiest way to make shakers, I promise you. So if you have a friend who are anything like some of mine who are saying to themselves, I cannot make shakers, please tell them to watch this video. It's so easy. Okay, now I am stamping my sentiment. I am using some Simon Says Stamp High Dive ink, and I am using my Mini Misty because I wasn't sure if I was going to get all of those tiny little letters in the sentiment stamped out really nice and clearly. I did have to double stamp it. Once that's done, I'm going to put the flag on top of some foam adhesive just to pop it up a little bit so it doesn't get lost there. And now I'm going to adhere the cherry. The cherry is actually 2 dies. It's a round die for the cherry itself and then the cherry stem. What I did here was I adhered the cherry stem to the cupcake with a little liquid adhesive, and then I adhered the cherry on top. Again, that's just, to me, it was the easiest way to do it. I decided to add some Nouveau Crystal Glaze to the cherry itself to make it nice and shiny and a little bit dimensional as well, just kind of coloring in that cherry with the glaze. And now I'm going to color in the stem with some Nouveau Crystal Drops in black so that the stem stands out there. And that is it. Super easy for the cupcake as well. So the next shape that we're going to work on is the ice cream cone. This is another really simple one. It's just 2 basic shapes here. So I am going to first stamp my sentiment on some white cardstock. I am using Lawn Fawn Plastic Flamingo ink. I'll link all of the ink colors as well down below so that you can grab them if you're interested. Once I have that done, I'm going to start layering up my card here. I have cut out a rectangle with one of the foundations dies. Again, that gives you those stitched lines around the outside, which I think are really pretty and kind of go really well with this kit as well. And then I'm going to layer the white cardstock that has my sentiment on top of that. And then it's time to start working on the shaker. I cut out 2 cones. I cut out one in dark brown and one in kind of a light brown. And I am going to just line them up on top of each other with a little bit of a margin, and then I am going to cut off the excess, and that kind of, I think it makes it look like a chocolate dipped cone, just something a little bit different. You don't have to do that, absolutely. Okay, this is another one where you want to put the shape that is not a shaker down first. So I'm going to adhere the cone down directly to the card, and I'm going to do that first. Then I'm going to pop out my foam shape, pop out the center of that, peel off the top back protective layer and lay it down overhanging the cone a little bit. This way it doesn't look like it's floating in midair. And my issue was I hadn't lined it up. But now I'm going to adhere that center piece that you die cut with the die. Once that's done, I'm ready to add my sprinkles. So for this one, I did decide to add 3 different colors of sprinkles, and I'm taking those colors from the rainbow in the pattern paper in the background there. So I have a little bit of that yellowy orange, pink, and blue, and this one I really filled up, and I just do it different depending on whether I want it filled or not. It's just a different look. Grab my acetate piece and peel off that top protective layer, and then lay your acetate piece on top. You see, I always wipe mine off. That's because I have 2 ginormous dogs and they shed everywhere, so my acetate always has dog hair stuck to it, so I always wipe them off a little bit first. Okay, I'm going to use some liquid adhesive on that frame piece. I do find that if you have a little liquid adhesive with a fine tip, that is easier to apply on those frames than it is to use a tape runner, so that's why I switched from tape runner to liquid adhesive for those. And then I'm going to put some epoxy dots dripping from the ice cream cone to make it look like it's dripping on the ground. And that one is done as well. Okay, the donut. So the donut it's not hard at all, but it is kind of a shape inside a shape. So this is the donut shape, and then this piece I am using for the center of the donut. That piece could also be used for wheels for the ice cream truck, but I'll show you a way to get around using it for that. I am going to use some anti-static powder tool on this pattern paper and then my Versamark ink so that I can stamp it and then heat emboss it with white embossing powder. So I'm just going to pour that embossing powder on that ink. It will stick to it, and then I'm going to heat set that so that it looks nice and bright and white. And then I'm going to adhere this down to some craft cardstock. You can see I'm working on my waffle flower water media mat. You can do gluing, you can do inking, you can do heat embossing on it. Now I'm going to peel off the back protective layer of the outer donut shape and adhere it down to my card. And I just wanted it to be straight and centered. And now I'm going to adhere down that chocolate background. This is kind of the frosting for the donut, I think, or maybe it's just a chocolate donut. Next, I'm going to pop out that center ring of that little round shape, and I'm going to peel off the back protective layer of that and lay it in the center of my donut. That's going to keep my sprinkles all around the outside, but not inside the hole of the donut. Okay, and next I'm going to pour those sprinkles, being careful to avoid the actual donut hole there because I don't want any sprinkles in there. Now, if I was being like super realistic, I should have cut out a hole in the donut as well so that you could see the pattern paper behind it. I don't think anybody's going to notice that. You could go that far if you want to. I noticed it and I was like, you know what? It's fine. So I'm going to add my toppings, and then I'm going to peel off both top protective layers. I really love how Queen & Co. changed their shaped shaker shapes to have both sides have a paper protector. It makes it a lot easier to peel them off. I am going to use some liquid adhesive on that frame of the donut. It's a circle on the outside, but on the inside it's got kind of that shape because it is supposed to be the frosting, and so you have to line it up right. Okay, and then I'm going to put the little brown circle on the center of the donut, and that completes that card, except for I did want to add a little twine around the pattern paper. So I love how the Queen & Co. twine has several shades to choose from, types of twine on one package. So you get kind of the sparkle string and the baker's twine, 2 different colors of that on one package, which gives you a lot of options. Instead of having to buy lots of one kind, you get a couple of different choices there. So I'm going to tie a little bow, and then I was going to run it through my sewing machine, but I decided instead to just go with faux stitching. So I have a Uniball Signo pen, which is my favorite white gel pen, and I am just doing some hand faux stitching here by just drawing those stitches all around the pattern paper, and it really pops on the craft. I was super surprised how great that came out. So it just adds kind of a homespun feel to it and look. So that's the donut. Okay, the next one is like the ice cream float, or you could make it a root beer float or whatever you want. It has the sundae cup, or that float cup that you get in the like 50s diners and stuff. And there's a straw that you can cut out, and the whipped cream on top. And of course you could add the cherry to this one as well. I am heat embossing onto one of those foundations flags the sentiment, and so once I do that and heat set it and it is all ready to go, I have a bunch of pieces cut out as well. I'm going to pop out the cup because that is the shaker shape, and pop out the center of that, and I'm going to adhere down a couple of different pieces of pattern paper, and I cut a scallop edge on one, and I thought that that just looked, you know, kind of perfect with the whipped cream. And then this oval, I don't know, all the pieces just sort of seemed like reminiscent of a 50s diner to me for some reason. So the next thing I'm going to do is figure out exactly how all these pieces are going to fit together. I want the straw inside the cup and sticking out of the cup. I want the whipped cream resting on top, and I want the inside to be that dark pink. That's also going to be the framed outside. So for this one, I'm going to adhere the center down first, mainly because of the straw. So now I'm going to put a little bit of liquid adhesive on that straw, and I'm going to lay it down so that it's inside the cup and then is going to stick outside the cup. So I thought this was the easiest way to go. If you find another way that makes sense to you, I just thought instead of trying to cut it or stick it in there afterwards or peel up the foam, you know, it made the most sense to me to adhere that inner piece first, adhere down the straw, and now I can put my foam down, and then I can kind of tuck my whipped cream just underneath. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to sort of put a little tape runner and then just tuck it underneath, pour in my toppings inside the shaker of the cup shaker there, peel off that top protective layer, and grab my die cut acetate and just pop that right on top there. And now my shaker is all ready. I can put the customized frame that I die cut on top with a little bit of liquid adhesive. And then it is getting very close. It's time to pop up the sentiment with some foam adhesive. And once that's done, I decided that the whipped cream needed a little dimension as well. So I did cut a small piece of foam adhesive for the whipped cream and popped that up. And then for this time for the cherry, I did it a totally different way. I put a little bit of liquid adhesive on the stem and held it on there. Oh no, actually this is how I did it last time. There's another time that I actually just did it on the mat, and you can adhere on the mat and it will peel right off because it is silicone. Okay, I am going to add that Nouveau Crystal Glaze one more time and the Nouveau drops on the stem there. And then I decided I didn't like the straw and I wanted it in front of the whipped cream. So I cut another straw, and then I cut it just long enough to cover up the straw and the part outside the cup. And now I just like it better so you can see the straw a little bit better. So you'll see the straw inside the cup and on the whipped cream. Okay, the next one is a little tricky. It's the ice cream sundae. So when you cut it out, I did cut it out of white cardstock. It cuts out kind of 3 scoops, and you see the frame. So I have the frame and the interior piece together, and I am ink blending 3 different flavors of ice cream. I have antique linen for the vanilla. I used spun sugar for the strawberry, and then I am using tea dye for the chocolate. And these are all Distress Oxide inks. Okay, so you have to keep the frame in the center together for that die cut piece, otherwise it'll be hard to line up. Okay, now I am going to put this all together. So first things first, I have a oval for my sentiment, I have the bowl for the sundae, I have the interior piece, the frame piece, everything's ready to go. So I am going to grab my sentiment, and since I am stamping on pattern paper, once again, I am using the VersaFine Black Onyx ink. And there is the shaker shape and the bowl. I am going to adhere down the sentiment. I'm going to adhere down the bowl next. Similar to the cupcake wrapper and the cone, you want to adhere the bowl first. Then peel off the back protective layer of the 3 scoops shaker shape. Then you're going to adhere the interior piece there that we've got our strawberry, vanilla, and chocolate. Then you're going to put your sprinkles inside on the topping. And again, I've just got a bunch of different colors there. Then you peel off that top protective layer, grab your acetate piece and lay it on top. It should match up perfectly. Then I'm going to put a little liquid adhesive on the back of this frame. And remember, we ink blended the frame and the interior piece all together, so it should all match up beautifully. Now, this one comes with a kind of sauce topping die, and I cut them out of 3 different colors, a chocolate, a marshmallow, and a strawberry. And then I decided to go a little crazy and put sprinkles on top of the toppings. So I basically just put little dots of liquid adhesive and then picked up individual sprinkles and put them on top. I know it sounds a little crazy and like a lot of work, and I did speed it up because it would have been really, really boring to watch, but I really think it's cute. It really is cute. These do look like real sprinkles, so to have them on top and then on the inside as well, I think is just adorable. I did put some epoxy dots around that scalloped oval for my sentiment. I just thought that needed something, and then looked really cute with the 2 different pink colors. So that one seems like a lot of work, but it really wasn't. Okay, this is where I did the cherry stem different. I put a little liquid adhesive on the stem itself and then just laid the cherry on top. Just gave it a couple of seconds to dry and then picked the whole thing up. So either way, I guess, works fine, just depending on, what your work surface is and what makes sense to you. Put a little liquid adhesive behind that cherry and then adhered it to the sundae. Okay, the last one is the ice cream truck, and I know this one looks like it's got a lot of pieces, so we're going to go through this one as well. It didn't turn out to be hard at all. I was a little intimidated at first looking at it, thinking, oh my gosh, there's all these pieces, but it's really not hard at all. Okay, so I am going to use some of the pattern papers on top of each other, just layering a couple of rectangles, and then I am going to stamp my sentiment. This time I used 2 sentiments. They have one that says happy birthday and then one that says with sprinkles on top, and I thought that those worked really well together. Once again, I am using that VersaFine black onyx so that it really stands out on the pattern paper. Okay, I'm going to pop out the center piece of that ice cream truck and peel off that back protective layer and lay it down on my card. Once that's done, I am going to put my sprinkles right inside. This time, I'm not putting any cardstock or pattern paper in there because it's supposed to be a window. So I felt like you were supposed to be seeing through the car to the other side, through the truck window to the other side. Okay, once that's done, I am going to peel off this top protective layer and lay this acetate piece right on top. And that's going to trap everything inside. Now I'm going to take the window piece, this is like the window frames, and I am just going to put a little tape runner behind it and lay it down first. And it's going to line up with the top of the truck. Now I'm going to take this secondary piece here and lay that down. It butts up right against the piece that we just adhered. And now I'm going to work on the wheels. So the wheels cut out the outside and a centerpiece. So I cut them out of brown cardstock and then I cut them out of silver glitter cardstock for the rims. What I'm going to do here is take a piece of foam adhesive and lay the tire down on the foam and then lay the rim down on top. Then I'm going to layer another piece of foam adhesive behind that, and this way it pops up as high as the truck. So instead of using the little foams that come in the kit so you can use them for the donut, I'm using foam adhesive for our wheels. Okay, I'm going to put a little bit of liquid adhesive behind that little awning there, and then of course I'm going to tie some twine. I love baker's twine with this kit. I think it just looks adorable, especially with the donut, I think, because you think of kind of a baker's dozen with the baker's twine. So I'm just gonna tie the baker's twine into a little bow, cut the tails short, and that completes this card as well. Super, super easy. I told you, even the ones that maybe look a little more complicated are very fun and easy to use. So I will definitely link all the products that I used, including the kit, below. I hope that you're all doing really, really well and that you have some time to craft and create some cards. I took some time off to just, like I said, get my schedule together and get my house in order a little bit, but now it's time to make some pretty things. So if you're interested, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel here. You can check out my blog. I'll have a couple of other videos you might be interested in. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're staying safe and healthy, and I'll see you again soon.